You're listening to Bosses and Booze, happy hour for the creative biz owner, with your host, Meghan Maydel. Ever wonder what it's like to sit down for a cocktail with your favorite entrepreneurs and ask them the real-life questions no one else is asking? Well, now you've got Meghan to do it for you. Join her each week when she says screw the fluff and gives you an honest peek behind the curtain of online personas. Bottoms up!
All right, hey guys, Meghan Maydel here with another episode of Bosses and Booze. My guest today is the wonderful Lauren Black with Legacy Loft. She is sipping on today some rum and coke, so already like infinitely more interesting than I am with just my little glass of wine, Riesling wine here. Her guilty pleasure is, you mean besides work? It's brownies and HGTV, preferably together. I'm always game. And her favorite movie is Newsies, Jurassic Park, and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I feel like those are very random favorite movie selections.
What did you say? They're all good.
I mean, how did we come to that collection of movies?
Well, Jurassic Park is just classic. I mean,
yes.
It's amazing. I saw it in theater when I was like 5. Who does that? Who brings their kid to see Jurassic Park when they're 5?
Epic My parents.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't go wrong. And then Newsies, classic, singing, dancing, saw it on Broadway. I mean, it's awesome. And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, that's just your easy throwback chick flick. Know every line. You know?
Yes. Isn't How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days when they have the love fern? Is that one?
Yes.
You killed my love fern.
They die. You gonna let us die?
Jurassic Park, you're right, is always a classic. Were you a fan of the new one that they just did? What was it? Over the summer? Maybe it was last summer?
It was a couple of years ago.
But
yeah, it was okay. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was good.
Oh, I don't think anything is as good as the first one, but it was definitely better than, like, the third.
Yeah, the third was awful. The most recent one, not gonna lie, my whole family dressed up and went to see it together.
Oh my God.
We're nerds like that.
What? Who did you dress up as?
I was Les.
This is amazing. Are there any, wait, were you a Harry Potter dress up person then? Like when they would come out at midnight, did you also dress up to those?
I was not. I did like the Harry Potter series, but didn't take it to that extreme. My family in general is a huge fan of Jurassic Park. I mean, obviously my mom brought us to see it when I was 5.
Right.
So, yeah.
We're making moves there. All right, so let's get into your story. I want you to tell people, what is your roller coaster? Where did you start at? How did you end up where you are now? What kind of led to this point?
Yeah, well, I mean, it ultimately goes back to yearbook in high school. And
we're going way back. All right.
We're going way back. And that's what got me interested in graphic design. So I majored in graphic design in college, and senior year, it's a program of just 18 people. We're having our critique session for our final portfolio. We've got our websites up, our branding. And at critique, one of my teachers decided to tell me that my branding is too sorority. Because it was feminine. I used my first and middle name. Everyone else was using their first and last name. My last name, I was about to get married. And so I thought I'd be getting engaged, and I did. But yeah, my branding was Lauren Ashley, my first and middle name. And my teacher said it was too sorority. So I changed my name to Zora. No, not right. But I did change my graphics, and I changed it to this grunge style, and I changed the name of my company to Rendition Graphics. Okay. So completely opposite. Went from very feminine and girly to this grunge, edgy style. And for years, I struggled with the fight against being, wanting to do this feminine branding, but yet at the same time wanting to live up to the standards that my teachers had set, and that they expected us to be some crazy artsy designer instead of this feminine style. So Legacy Loft got started doing wedding invitations, and I was terrified of my old classmates and my teachers seeing that I did wedding invitations, because it was girly and it was feminine, and my branding was, followed suit. So it wasn't until recently that I realized, wow, I was much more of a Lauren Ashley than a rendition graphics. That's me. It's my current branding legacy Loft is decently feminine. I like doing that style. And so from there, I realized, wow, like I want to help others to brand themselves with their personality and with, not have to conform and shape themselves into something else that they're not just because one person stepped in and said, something against it just because it wasn't their style. So now as a branding designer, I help dig in and pull out the inner personality of my clients and be able to brand for that. University of Florida.
It's funny because I didn't even like connect the dots until you said that like your professor said something to you about it being very sorority girl, that I remember my final portfolio, because I also went for design and advertising. I remember my final portfolio with my branding and my website and everything, and her looking at it being like, it was a cliche font choice, it was a cliche color choice or something like that. And it was pretty much ripping it apart for being too feminine. And it was like, oh, you need to go more this direction. And noticing, like, now that I'm thinking about it, realizing it, that it really did all kind of, they were pushing you to go in that more neutral, at the very least neutral direction, but more, if anything, that more like masculine, edgy, how can we go about it this way? Like, I don't even know that I want to say more corporate, but more like going in that like refined style.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sucks everything right out of you.
Right. And the funny thing is, I was one of 2 out of 18 to graduate with a job lined up. So I'm like, well, you can say what you want. It got me a job.
It worked. Thanks. Well, that's irritating. Not that I'm realizing that. I'm like, I hope scads change their ways a little bit. All right. Were you in a sorority? And like, maybe did she get the idea from that?
I was in a sorority for 3 years. I dropped out before my senior year. So cool enough to get in, smart enough to get out.
Yes. Why did you get out? I feel like it's a good story
like
here.
Everyone in my pledge class had kind of changed and people had just gone crazy. And so I was like, I'm done. This isn't me anymore.
This isn't my thing. Sorry, guys.
Yep. I'm out.
I like it. All right. Well, I'm glad that you decided to go this route because I feel like it's much needed, especially in our space. That, I mean, even I understand wanting to go really feminine, but there are a lot of people who just maybe take it too far. They don't understand how to do it in the right way for their personality. And it's a really important. You don't want to constantly be at odds with what your branding is. And I went through that the first, 6 months that I was doing my own thing after I left my corporate job. Was everything was kind of ultra feminine, which I could do that design. But then, when it came to doing Instagram or Facebook posts and stuff like that, it would be, what would this ultra feminine chick who likes flowers post? I don't know. Cause I don't like flowers and I don't give a shit about any of this. Yeah. How do I fix this? And it just becomes like the whole game becomes much easier when you're just like, all right, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to put it out there and I'm just going to do it as I see fit. So much easier.
Yeah.
So much easier. All right, let's play 2 truths and a lie.
Okay.
These will be good. All right, your 2 truths and a lie were: I broke both wrists at the same time in high school. I was once traumatically attacked by a pet squirrel, and my first job was in construction. Okay, I think it's a lie, but I'm really kind of hoping that it's true in a mean way. Were you once traumatically attacked by a pet squirrel? Is that a lie?
That is a truth.
Yes, tell me the story.
Okay, so I was in elementary school, and my friend their parents, they were, very environmentalists, and they were obsessed with animals, had over 100 animals at one point, and they took in this squirrel that had fallen out of a tree. And once it started getting older and going outside, it got a little more aggressive. So this squirrel came into her house while we were studying. It would come in through the doggy door. And it would like plant peanuts in her, like under her pillow and in my friend's shoes. It's like, this squirrel was crazy. Its name was Ziggy. And so Ziggy would come in, and we were studying one day at the table, and it jumped on my arm and like scratched me. So I kind of flung it across the table. So it held a grudge against me. And the next time it came back in, I just backed away from the table. I'm like, I'm just gonna get away from this squirrel and it'll all be good. Well, it jumped from the table about 10 feet onto me and started running all over me, freaking me out. I mean, I'm like 10 years old. And since then, like, we finally got it off of me. I was like in tears. Since then, I've hated squirrels. It was awful.
The only person I know that hates squirrels.
Yes, I hate squirrels. And we have so many of them in Florida.
Oh, that poor squirrel.
Poor squirrel. Poor me. I was attacked.
I mean, I didn't know that like pet squirrels remembered that kind of shit and that they would hold a grudge. And the next time he saw you, would be like, all right, homie, let's go.
Oh, you should have seen her goats. Her goat butted my sister off the trampoline.
There were goats at this house. Oh, they had all the nature things.
Yes. In the middle of like rural city, like, I mean, kind of like on the edge of, not like too rural, but like city rural, in the middle of a neighborhood. Goats. And they had goats. Yeah.
And the squirrel that went through the doggy door. I feel like I need to be this girl's friend, like just to witness what I feel like is a shit show at her house. All right, then I'm going to guess you broke both wrists at the same time in high school is the lie.
That is someone else's truth, but not mine.
Whose truth is it?
This guy in my class started the school year with casts on both wrists. He had been benching and he broke both wrists at the same time.
Was he trying to show off for some chick and it like just didn't pan out the way he thought it would?
Yeah, that backfired real quick.
Okay, so your first job was in construction. Wait, how'd that happen? Like, you seem like so like non-construction.
Yeah, so my dad's a contractor.
Okay.
And so I had to do demolition for him in about 7th grade. And it was awful. I was sore for like 2 weeks in places I didn't know I had muscles. And I couldn't walk or move for a week. It was awful. I was slinging this little puny 7th grade girl slinging a sledgehammer to break apart the tile in a bathroom.
Is that the last time you worked for him, or did he force you to continue to do it like every summer after that?
Yeah, 2 summers in college. I spent the whole summer framing a 3,600 square foot house in North Carolina. So at least it was overlooking the mountains on the lake, which was nice.
But I bet now your husband like appreciates that you're handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the skill comes in handy at some point, right?
It does. Yeah. In college and in art school at one point, some guy was trying to drill together 2 boards and he wasn't drilling a hole first. He was just trying to put the screw straight through the wood. And I had to correct him and he was a little embarrassed that a girl was correcting him.
Hi, you need a pilot hole first. You wanna do that? That's why it isn't working for you. But it's always nice whenever you can kind of prove them wrong.
Yeah. So I've got feminine branding, but I can hold my own.
I like it. All right. I like that you want to do 7 Minutes in Heaven a little differently than anyone else has offered up.
That's me.
I like it. I dig it. Let's take this in a little bit of a different direction. So just so everyone knows, her teaching is going to go along with the 2 truths and a lie, where she's going to actually give me 2 truths and a lie about branding and teaching on whether or not your brand should be built around ideal client versus personality, how to follow the latest trends while still staying unique, and the true definition of branding. And we're just going to have a conversation around that. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited that it's different than the other way that we've been doing it. So let me check the time. All right, so let's go. The floor is yours.
Okay. So, true or false? I'm going to kind of do it true or false way, but true or false, branding is the visual elements that represent your company.
False.
That's good. This was an easy one to start with. So false. Branding is so much more than just the visual elements. I mean, it's about the whole experience, the client journey, and every step along the way, your messaging, your marketing, all of it, how it ties in together. So imagine, if you owned a health store, a health food store, and somebody walks in and you've got a burger stand with these juicy, greasy bacon burgers. I mean, that's sending mixed messaging. No one would do that. But yet, in the online business world, people often send mixed messaging. So you need to make sure that your visuals, your copy, your messaging, your marketing, it all ties in together. And yes, your visuals, your logo, website, graphics, those are all a huge part of your branding, but they themselves do not make up branding. And, it goes so much deeper.
And it's not your logo either, people. Stop thinking that it's your logo. God, that drives me nuts.
No.
I need a brand. I like these logos. Wait, hang on. We're having two separate conversations at this point.
Right. No, your brand. I mean, if Starbucks was just a logo, it wouldn't mean they sell coffee, or they might sell hamburgers as well. I mean, they've got the whole client journey and experience. You can expect the same thing from Starbucks every time you go there, no matter what location you're in.
Which is why I love Starbucks.
Right.
All right, next one.
Okay. So, true or false, your brand should be built on your ideal client.
I feel like this is like a sneaky trick question. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here, and I am gonna say false.
Okay, this one was a trick question because it is true and false. So, your branding should depend on what your differentiation is and what your unique selling point is. So, if your brand is you and all of your services, it's your new unique experience, your unique positioning, if they're buying your services for you, then it should be built on your personality, because ultimately they're buying things that are you and they want to have that connection with you. So this is good for a lot of solopreneurs or people who are service-based businesses that it's mostly them that people are buying, because you need to connect with your ideal clients. So let's say you're a coach. There could be a coach that takes this very soft approach, welcoming. They just want to take everybody under their wing and gently nourish them into where they need to be. And, they need a little more softer, welcoming branding overall. Their messaging needs to speak into that. But maybe there's Coach B who they just are blunt. They cut to the chase. They're hard. They, just drill it in. They need a little more bold, direct branding, their messaging, their marketing, all of that. Because if they had this soft, feminine, girly, flowers and just everybody welcome, then their clients who are going to purchase for them are going to be in for a rude awakening when they see that they're just being drilled. And, so it all depends on the style of the person. So, but on the other hand, if people are a product-based business or a bigger corporation where it's not dependent on one person, then maybe they do need to focus on their clients and brand for what's going to attract their ideal clients. Because let's say I'm not a mom, but if I came up with this awesome new baby toy or something, I need to brand it for moms, not for me and my personality, because we're not reaching people like me. I'm not a mom yet. So I think ultimately when service-based solopreneurs who their branding depends on them and their services and all that they're selling depends on them, then you're ultimately going to connect best with people who get you and your personality. And so that's why those people should brand for their personality, where if it's not dependent on you, then you brand for your client. So, some people think it's a hard, yes, you should always brand just for the client, or no, you should never brand for just the client. You need to brand for your personality. I mean, it just totally depends on you, your business, and your unique selling point.
What's the third question?
All right, third question. Your brand should follow the latest trends to stay relevant.
False. I hate that. That drives me insane. So I'm really hoping I'm right with false.
Okay, it's false, but true to a degree.
Okay.
So I think
another trick question.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So the first one was the easy one, and then I had two trick questions. So kind of two truths and a lie isn't really, it's like two tricks and a lie. So staying on trend is good in some sense. Like, you don't want to look like you're straight out of the 90s unless you're selling 90s clothing or something, you know? So staying up to date and modern is important, but I think some people get so caught up in trends that then they start looking like everyone else, or they brand for this trend and then they end up needing to rebrand once that goes out of style. So let's take watercolor logos with script text for an example. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. You know, a lot of people had watercolor in the background or as their mark and then script text on top. But now that watercolors are kind of fading out, those logos are going to be out of style. So how can you stay on trend? You know, if people really did like the watercolor style, it's a very beautiful style and maybe it fits with their ideal clients, but how can they keep on, you know, without having to rebrand because watercolor is going out of style? Well, one thing is to not put it in your logo, because when you brand your logo with something that's super trendy and on point at that time, then as soon as that goes out of style and you want to rebrand, then you're losing that brand recognition. So maybe you have the mark that, or your logo, the word part, that's not, you know, dependent on that watercolor. And you could have watercolor in the background, but then as soon as watercolors go out, you remove it and you've still got the same logo, the same mark. People are still recognizing you as you. And you could use maybe those watercolors as your banners or social media graphics or some other supporting element if you are insisting on using that trend. So let's take flat lays for an example. Flat lays are one thing that are super trendy right now. And I might lose some followers for this, but that's okay. They're probably not my ideal clients. But if I see another white flat lay with gold, you know, desk items,
these kill me.
I would scream. Because there are so many of them. And yes, they're pretty and they're trendy, but there's so many that you don't stand out. You're not unique. I literally at one point saw 4 graphic designers' websites, and one day they had the same exact header banner. There was this flat lay with the gold pear and the pink flowers, same exact photo, not just like a variation of it, not just using some of the same elements, but literally the same exact photo. So how are you supposed to stand out and look different and show your creativity and show that your unique selling point if you look just like everyone else? So if you are going to follow the trends, I say find a way to make it unique to you. So maybe you have a flat lay that's on your brand color as a background, or instead of the marble or the white, you have, you know, something else, a texture, a fabric, something that's unique to you and your brand, but still following the trend somewhat, and, you know, but not looking like everyone else. Because you want, when people are scrolling through Instagram and Pinterest, you want them to see you and know that that's you, and not just pass it by as someone else that, you know, maybe they don't like that other person's content and you're being confused with them because you're using the same exact Etsy graphic that, you know, so don't go with the most trendy Etsy shop or, you know, the people who are selling the same exact photos. Like, go find someone to take your own brand photos for you instead of copying what everybody else is doing.
Attempt to take your own. Like, I was on Creative Market the other day and looking at some of their stock photos because, like, it's just like a sick obsession that I have. Like, all right, I'll peruse it and just see what other people are doing, and all looks the same. Like, nothing that I would remotely use for my brand at all. It's not ultra feminine. It's not gold, white, and pink. Like, it's just, why is everyone doing the exact same shit? My other question, when, and this is just like a pet peeve of mine, but I know like that in certain instances that it works for logos, and I don't mean to offend anyone's logo. I'm sure there are plenty of people listening to this that have this kind of logo. When is when is a brush script name with a sans serif font underneath it going to die for a logo?
I honestly think that the whole brush script thing anyway is on its way out. And I know
God.
Back in April when I rebranded, I had chosen an accent font. There was a brush script, Hello Sunshine. And I literally will go on Instagram and see it on 5 different people's accounts. I have phased it out of my business because I don't want to look like 5 other people that's in 5 minutes of Instagram scrolling. I mean, they're way, way overused right now. And yes, they're pretty, but man,
and it's like people always seem to find like the same 3 brush script fonts. There's one that's like super, like it dips down really far and the letters are really kind of loose and it's a brush script. And I've seen, like, I know of maybe 10 people in the same space as me that all use it. And I'm like, if I see this font one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah. So, which is why I was using it as an accent font. And then when I saw that everybody else was using it, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Because I don't want to look like everyone else. Because what's the point in your brand being you and being different and unique and, standing out? It's a busy world out there. There are so many entrepreneurs and other, for my case, brand designers that I need to set myself apart.
Amen. So what do you think is coming up next then? Like, what are we on the cusp of as far as like the next trend?
I think it's going to be kind of 3D geometric shapes. I've been seeing a lot of that coming, and I think that's the next thing. So a lot of like geometric patterns and kind of with a little bit of a 3D texture to it.
That's interesting. I've seen some of those, but I guess I hadn't picked up on it enough to be like, oh, I've seen several of these. So we should probably start noticing this. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see how it comes into our space. I think will be the most interesting.
Because people in our space definitely tend to take on all of those trends.
Taking all of those trends, I'm curious if you feel the same way. They take on all of those trends, but I feel like they do it in a way that's like just late enough that they're on the tail end. Like they wait for it to be like, okay, I've already seen it literally everywhere else, and now I want it for my brand, but I want it for my brand as it's starting to go out.
Right, because right now I'm picking up that these geometric shapes are starting to come in. But once they really pick up, that's when it's like, okay, now everybody's using them. So they start phasing out already. So that's why for me, I don't like to stick to super, super trendy because it phases out so quick, then you're rebranding and you're losing that brand recognition or you're looking like everybody else.
I could see that. That makes sense. Yeah, it's just been, I've seen other people using it and I'm just, oh, there it is. There it is again. There it is. Yeah. Oh, there's that gold stapler. I want to burn all the gold staplers. If I could burn all the gold staplers, that'd be amazing.
And gold scissors and paper clips.
Oh, or the Kate Spade gold bow paper clips. Oh.
And don't get me wrong, they're beautiful. But when so many people use them, then it takes away from your own brand recognition.
Them in a brand picture. In fact, I think I specifically chucked them in my husband's office whenever we took pictures of my office for my brand photos.
Yes.
And he has started using them in his work stuff.
Nice.
I saw some paper clip the other day and I was like, where'd you get that where'd you get that bow paper clip? Do other people know that you use that? Have you said anything to anyone else about that? Okay, I'm curious. As a designer, as someone who knows the design world, I'm assuming that you're a Mac person.
Yes.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
So Tim Cook came out the other day. This is on Facebook trending. Tim Cook came out the other day and said that all of a sudden, I guess, like after the whole Microsoft announcement where they unveiled their amazing Studio Pro, that great desktop Macs are in the works. Which I'm curious what your thoughts on this are, because after the lackluster MacBook Pro announcement, I'm not sure that I buy any of the shit that he's selling.
I'd probably wait until like the next thing comes out.
We're waiting for two more announcements.
Yeah, exactly. Because the little scroll bar on the new MacBook,
the touch bar.
The touch bar. Stupid. Why would you need that?
Stupid.
Really, like there's touchscreen computers out and you're trying to compete with this little touch bar.
Stupid. It was on, the commercial came on for it the other day whenever we were doing Jimmy's family's get together and his niece said something about wanting it. And I said, no, don't wait. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, if they're wanting to appeal, if they're still wanting to appeal to creative professionals, this is not it. Like, what I was so hoping for, and I was so upset that they didn't announce it, was an iPad Pro with the power of a MacBook Pro. That is what I wanted. Why can't we have that? You make iPads, so why can't we have that?
Right. Or touchscreen. Like, I would love to be able, instead of my tablet that I have to draw on my, computer on my desk, I'd love to be able to draw straight onto my MacBook Pro. That'd be
That's what
amazing.
happened. Why
Yeah.
doesn't it work? And I think the part of the problem was also that, Microsoft, I think Microsoft planned it on purpose to do their announcement right before Apple's. And they announced that amazing looking, what was it, like Surface Studio Pro or whatever, the desktop that they announced that like you can tilt in all different angles, you can write right on it. If I didn't despise the Windows operating system,
Right.
I would jump ship in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah, no, I once you go Mac, no, never go back, but so yeah, no, I'm set on Mac, but I'm waiting, I'll wait it out. I don't have to have the latest thing just because it's got this touch bar. I'll wait it out till the next one comes out.
I'm not sure that I have much faith in Tim Cook. I'm not sure that he's it. I think he maybe needs to go soon.
Well, maybe after the touch bar flops.
I'm really like every time I see like announcements, where like people are releasing like their quarterly figures, and since they're a publicly traded company, theirs will come out in what, January or end of January, beginning of February. So this is so sick of me, but like I'm really hoping that like the numbers are not what they thought they'd be. So everyone could be like, oh, well, we fucked that one up. Like maybe we shouldn't have announced anything, because I think even the specs are not as good as far as like processing power and stuff like that as even my MacBook Pro. And my MacBook Pro I think is from like 2014. So you're going backwards. I feel the only innovative thing that you gave me that you're trying to pass off as innovative is you got rid of the USB port for a Lightning port. Okay, all you've done is piss off a lot of people who don't want to get rid of their USBs and fail to recognize changing technology, and you got rid of my headphone jack on my new iPhone. Like, I mean, that's all you've done that's innovative lately.
Yeah.
Is just irritate people. Like, that seems to be all that's happening.
Thanks
and those stupid, what are the earbud things that they came up with that are like just the right size to lose? That are like just dumb enough that you're gonna lose one of them as soon as you get them. That I'm just waiting for Apple. Like, I love you, Apple. I am a diehard Apple user. I love that it just works, but I need you to get your shit together, man. I need you, Tim Cook, to get your shit together. All right, in other Facebook news, let's see what else we got here. We got some rough stories today. Lots of things are sad. Let's see, like the Leonard Cohen song Hallelujah, always a good one. I feel like there's been a million remakes of it at this point. But there's a video going viral lately where it's a 10-year-old girl with autism sings it. Have you seen it?
Not.
It's pretty good. I mean, of course, like you end up crying because you realize like what she's having to overcome to be able to sing the song. So, that's always a good one. That's a nice like holiday, like real like get you in the gut. Kind of a Facebook trending story. How up are you on your celebrity relationships?
I've seen that since I love HGTV,
right?
Flipper Flop couple is apparently breaking up.
Apparently,
which makes me sad. I mean,
so there's been new news that has come out since it was announced.
Oh.
So apparently, okay, so I've heard two different stories, and I don't know which one is maybe like repeat or reporting too early, and the other one maybe has their story right. Who knows? They haven't come out and said anything yet. But apparently, so all this went down in May, right? When he like decided to run off with a gun and was just blowing off steam. Sure, dude, sure. And it was a misunderstanding. I buy that. So apparently they're saying that wasn't the incident that led to anything, but they have been separated since then. Apparently it's come out that he was cheating with the nanny.
What?
Yeah.
I did not hear that one yet.
So I've heard two versions. I've heard one that he was cheating with the nanny, and the other one that I've heard is that he didn't cheat with the nanny, but that he started dating the much younger nanny as soon as they decided to start seeing other people. Apparently they went to marriage counseling, and they decided at marriage counseling, all right, guess what, homie, this isn't working anymore. Let's separate. And then he decided to, hook up with this much younger nanny who looks exactly like Christina, just a much younger version.
Okay. Because, I mean, if anyone was to cheat, I would feel like Christina would be the one who kind of, she carries the goods a little better.
I feel like if I had to peg someone, it wouldn't be him.
Right. No. Like, you had it pretty good. What are you doing?
Like, that's a really dumb move on your part, dude.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could always kind of tell in the show that there would be moments where they would just like start picking at each other over just some of like the dumbest shit that you'd be like, if this is what you guys are picking at each other about on TV when you know you're being recorded, what are you picking at each other about whenever you guys are home?
Right.
I
And
can
then
only
adding
imagine it
the
gets better.
kid, I mean, probably adds to the tension a little bit.
And apparently they were doing some, this is another article I read, you can tell like I'm real productive with my time. My husband reads all these articles and then feels the need to read them to me, so we're always up on all of this stuff. I'll blame it on Jimmy. That apparently they've gotten into trouble for some business that they've associated with themselves. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like Success something. But it's like as soon as I saw it online, I saw ads for it that with them like clearly photoshopped over the top of like a city backdrop. Very obviously photoshopped. But it just looks like just one of those like scammy internet marketing companies. And I don't know, maybe we just all pick up on that more because we're in the business world. So other people aren't as attuned to it. But apparently it's one of those where they, are people who are promoting it. They don't actually show up to any of the events. They aren't actually a part of anything, but they allow them to use their name to be able to push it. And then you spend a lot of money. It's become successful in real estate, I think. But you spend a lot of money to get to be a part of it, and then you never really learn anything, and there's never really a payoff to it.
Yeah. I've heard of people who have bought into that and thought that they were going to make their millions in flipping houses. First of all, do they not realize that the market is horrible right now?
I mean, it depends on where you are. If you want to flip houses in Nashville, you can make a lot of money, but you have to have a lot of money to get into the house flipping market in Nashville. It's not cheap with the way our city is going. But it's just been one of those things where you thought that you were going to be able to get into this with like a $1,000 investment and you were going to make millions within 12 months. If it's just one, like, I don't know who's not understanding, what is it, that adage of like, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Like, who's not picking up on that?
Well, when they see Tarek and Christina showing it off of, hey, this is how we were so successful, I mean, people buy into that.
And I mean, I guess thankfully I'm glad that they came under fire for it because maybe it will stop people from doing it, because I know that they're ones who have been doing it. There's been one of the Shark Tank people was doing it. He got into trouble for it. Draymond, I think his name is, the one who came up with Fubu, who's the owner of that. He got into trouble for doing it, and then I think there were a couple other like HGTV people who got into trouble for associating with these different companies that do like conferences and stuff like that in different cities, and it's all like a really just heavy pitch conference that they're trying to pass off so you're going to learn something and you don't. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe them coming under fire for it and it coming out and the show potentially ending in 2017. I can't figure out if it's ending or not in 2017. HGTV says production's going as planned. Inside sources are saying that it's going to be canceled. Who knows? But it'll be one last show for me to get sucked into for hours on end on the weekends, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I really only have Fixer Upper to get sucked into for hours on end.
Oh, I do love Fixer Upper.
I'm just waiting for them to go next. Like, I think they're the one couple that everyone's like, oh no, nothing will ever happen to them. Then of course it's going to. I mean, everyone thought that about all these other power celebrity couples. Like, oh no, it won't happen to them. Nope, it always does. It always does.
They just need to get out before that point. It's like the child actresses and actors that like you never see them again. That they're the smart ones.
They're the ones who are really doing something with their lives at this point in time.
Right.
Although on Facebook trending the other day, there was a picture of what's her name? Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter. Her godfather is apparently Macaulay Culkin.
Okay.
which I did not know. But it was a
Yeah.
picture of them hanging out together in New York, and she was painting his toenails. And I just feel like Macaulay Culkin's one of those that, like, you wanted to think that, okay, and him getting out, like, he's gonna do something with his life, and then you see pictures like that, and like you see pictures of him now, and you're like, nope, didn't happen.
Yeah.
I can't figure out what this went wrong.
Maybe he was too old to get out at that point.
And I'm like, oh, what happened to you? Like, you used to be so cute in Home Alone, and now I
Yeah,
can't
I
figure out what
know.
happened.
Like my favorite Christmas movie. I should have added that to my list.
Oh God, oh God. What's funny is that I actually can't stand any of the Home Alone movies.
No.
I don't know what it is. I remember watching them as a kid and like thinking, all right, it's funny. But as an adult, and I ruin everything for Jimmy. Because if I could figure out the plot line within the first like 30 minutes or so, or with some of the dumb TV shows he watches in the first like 15 minutes, I'm like, I don't like this anymore. Like, I could tell you exactly what's going to happen, so I'm not into this. I guess that's maybe what, and I've only gotten that way maybe like since college, that like I've started picking up on the patterns, and it's, oh, this isn't, oh, I'm not that into it anymore. But it
Yeah.
ruins everything for me. Like, it's ruined all my favorite chick flicks. It's ruined all the TV shows. Everything is ruined for me.
See, I'm the opposite, where I will guess and I think I know, and it's like the opposite of what happens. I'm so bad at predicting. I finally, the other night, predicted something right. My husband looks at me, he's like, wow, you got it right.
Is that I'll predict it, and then he'll just watch it to prove me wrong. But he likes to try to predict it at the beginning too, and he always gets it wrong. And I'm like, how are you still getting it wrong? This is the exact same story as last week's episode. Like, they're gonna lead you to believe that it's this person. It never is. It's always this person, or it's the person you least expect. Who could that possibly be?
Well, I overthink it. I'm like, well, they want you to think that it's that person, but they're just reverse psychologying it on you. And so, of course, it's going to be this person, and then it ends up not.
The one Christmas movie that I loved as a kid, and I still love now, has not been ruined for me, is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I can watch that movie every single day during the Christmas season and never get tired of it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Classic. Yeah.
In fact, my Christmas cards this year for family, I always decorate the envelope. I'm big on like making the envelope look interesting. And this year, there's an illustration of cousin Eddie, standing outside in his bathrobe when when the neighbors come out and he says "shitter's full." It's an illustration of that, and it says "shitter's full" at the bottom. I can only imagine how much the United States Postal Service loves me right now. They're like, oh, great, this chick. All right, well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this, Lauren. For people who want to find out more about Legacy Loft, branding, I know you're doing a branding worksheet to help people figure out like their branding, how they can better make sure that it's in line with everything else that they're doing inside of their business. Where can they find all of that? Where can they engage with you online? Tell us all the things.
Yeah, so I'm at Legacy Loft. So that's LOFT. And that's all of my social media handles. So Instagram's my favorite, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, at Legacy Loft, and then legacyloft.com. And for the worksheet for just your podcast, it's at legacyloft.com/booze.
I like it. Makes it real easy to remember.
Yeah, right. Yep.
It's almost like it's right up our alley. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren, and I will see you next time.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, badasses, that's it this week with our boozy conversation with boss Lauren Black. We talked about everything from Jurassic Park to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation to our experiences in college and how that has kind of affected how we view branding and how we view design and the market trends and the direction that all of that is going in, why she hates squirrels, the whole nine yards. It really doesn't get much more random than this conversation. But don't forget to head over to legacyloft.com/booze so you could snatch up her free branding worksheet just for you guys. And until then, I'll see you guys next week. Remember, no drinking and driving, no drinking and doing client work. You guys know the drill.